Hello and welcome to another singled out video for another Infinity N4 battle report. Today we have the Tartary Army Corps again. It's a 300-point game and we are playing against the Morat Aggression Force. Playing the supply scenario, just to remind you how it works. In this scenario you have to control supply boxes. At the end of the game you get 2 points for controlling supply box, 2 points for controlling more supply boxes than your opponent, and 2 points for controlling all of them. You control them by having a model base with a supply box. If you are a specialist, you can move the boxes around. And here is my force, 300 points. I have arranged it into 2 combat groups. The first group I have a core link team of 4 line Kazakhs, one of them with a missile launcher. They have also in that group a veteran Kazakh with a AP heavy machine gun. We also have a Spetsnaz with a boarding shotgun. We have Colonel Voronin and Vasily. The idea was there that Voronin would be giving order tokens to the units in his combat group because he can give his lieutenant's order to anyone because he has Strategos. I also thought that in case he dies, I have Vasily there with chain of command to take over the command without there being a loss of lieutenant. In the second group I have 2 Sturlocks with boarding shotguns and mine layer. I have 2 antipode packs because what's better than 1 antipode pack? It's 2 of them, and I have a dynamo forward observer. Now for my opponent's force. Now this is the first time I think I've ever said the Morat words out loud, so I'm probably going to mispronounce all of them. First of all, we've got a Kornak Lieutenant with a Mark 12. We have 3 Tartary. They're the big guys with the swords. We have a Rack-to-Rack Red Fury. We have an Ikadron drone. We have a Suryat. We have a Rack-to-Rack, an Anyat, and a Gaki. Second group, we have a Ikadron again, a Rasvat, a Q drone. That's the total reaction drone. That is great for AROs. We have a Morat Vanguard and another Gaki. There is the battlefield. It's a 300-point game, and there you'll see the 3 supply objectives. Now for my deployment. Again, being Ariadne, there is an absolute lot of camouflage tokens. You will see lit up there, we have Vasily hiding away near the front. We have a Strelok there, and their mines are there. And circled there is my 5-man link team. On my opponent's side, we have, first of all, his 2 Gaki that are circled there. They're quite relevant early game. His lieutenant is there. I have lit this person up in particular because that is his tactical awareness Suryat. He caused me a lot of problems, so a bit of foreshadowing there. And finally we have circled there in the middle, he has his core link team, and to the side there we have his Harris link team. So here we go, Morat Aggression Force turn 1. First of all, his Gaki moved up on his right flank. There he is. He crept through several buildings, and on the other side his other Gaki crept through as well, both of them using their impetuous orders. It crept through, it snuck to the edge, out of sight of most of my force. At this point my Strelok decided not to reveal himself. His other Gaki went around on the left hand flank, like so. And then his Gaki made a run for it. Being new to Infinity N4, I was pretty darn scared of seeing the word explode on his stat block, and I was very concerned that as a result of this thrower unit being so, he could easily take out my link team in one go. So I revealed Vasily, I made the mine explode, and my whole link team opened up on the Gaki. It was definitely overcompensating. I in the past, as I'm sure a lot of you here have had in the past, some awful dice rolling, so I was determined not to have bad dice rolls kill my link team, but I think I spent too many resources especially in terms of revealing Vasily. He was far too vulnerable later on. The Gaki got his berserk charge off onto the missile launcher. He hit the missile launcher, but he made his armor roll, fortunately. Next up, unfortunately, because Vasily was now revealed, his Q drone could take a shot on Vasily and also take a shot on Voronin. I was stuck with the horrible possibility of losing both my lieutenant and my chain of command in one go, which would have been absolutely disastrous. A hail of machine gun fire happened. Vasily was knocked unconscious. Voronin was missed, fortunately. I should never have revealed Vasily in the first place. It was definitely a mistake. And if I'd lost both my lieutenant and Vasily, my turn one would have turned out very badly indeed. His second Gaki came around the corner and went onto the rooftop of a nearby building. My Strelok revealed himself, took a shotgun blast and killed the Gaki. In reality, I think my mind should have gone off instead. I was thinking in a two-dimensional manner and didn't think about the teardrop hitting the Gaki, which it probably could have done. His Harris Link team then crept around. His Suryat with his heavy machine gun was able to get line of fire on my veteran Kazakh because the only thing concealing him from everybody else was some camouflage markers, which, as far as I'm aware, don't block line of sight. I think it's partially because the markers were there. I thought they were blocking space, and secondly because I am, as is fairly obvious, fairly inexperienced and didn't think of all the angles. And so a Link team heavy machine gun blast against a model in ARO is, of course, very dangerous. So the Soviet popped out and popped back again, shot my veteran Kazakh and killed him, severely damaging the firepower of that Link team and of my force in general. Finally, the same Link team crept around and his Raktarak took shots at my now revealed Strelok and knocked him out. Revealing my Strelok so early on was terrible news because it meant he was far too vulnerable. His camouflage was definitely a shield that guarded him. That being gone, he was able to be knocked unconscious very easily, and that left my right hand flank quite open to that Suryat there, guarding it with a heavy machine gun for a large chunk of the game. Now for Tartary Army Corps turn 1. I was stuck with the Harris Link team really locking down my right hand side, so I sent my Antipode assault pack to deal with them. They jumped over the nearby boxes and ran towards his Harris as fast as they could. Some discovery rolls happened and 2 of them were revealed, but for their second order they were able to leap up the building and surprise that Raktarak. A flurry of claws and the Suryat was no more. I then was quite concerned about his Q drone. That total reaction bot in cover was well defended, and I don't think I had the firepower to deal with it very effectively. My missile launcher could shoot at it, but because that 5-man Link team had lost its +3 to hit, I think the dice were against me there, so I had to try and deal with it in other ways. My remaining Antipode, who was left from that pack, crept towards the total reaction drone. It was revealed by a discover, so it recamouflaged itself. It leapt onto the building, it dodged a shotgun blast, went prone and crawled forward so the total reaction bot couldn't shoot it, leapt over the barricade and managed to handily destroy the Q drone. Next, my second Antipode pack jumped into the building on my left hand side. My Strelok then came round. He laid a second mine which was covering the central supply box, and he re-camouflaged. Sorry, not a mine. What is it? Who knows? It's camouflage marker. It could be anything. Finally, my Link team moved round. I had a single rifleman cover that lane in the middle of the board, thinking that if I lost a single rifleman, it wasn't going to be as big a deal as losing the missile launcher so early on. Now for Morat turn 2. He wanted to deal with my antipode, which is fair comment, I guess, really. His Suryat, not content with killing my Kazakh earlier on in the game, took a hail of machine gun shots against my antipode, but he bravely and luckily dodged out of the way. His 5-man link then took shots and put the poor dog out of his misery. Then his Suryat came round back to where he started from and took some shots at my Dynamo. Was able to lob a smoke grenade in ARO and blocked the Suryat's line of fire. His 5-man link, then led by his Cornac lieutenant, came round, spotted my poor rifleman I left there to cover the lane, and taught him the error of his ways by putting a bullet in his head. His Harris link then came round, although now it's only a core link because his rack-to-rack was unconscious. Grabbed this supply box and moved around, bringing this supply box closer towards his lines. He was concerned about me having a parachutist, so he wanted to cover the area as best he could. Now for Tartary Army Corps turn 2. Seeing his Harris link there, I was pretty sure I could get a line of fire on him with my parachutist, which I did. My Spetsnaz came in from behind and fired 2 shotgun blasts at his Harris link at the back there, who was exposed. Unfortunately, both shots hit, but both shots bounced off his armour. He then turned round and in a return volley, both units killed each other, which was far better for him than it was for me. I was hoping my Spetsnaz could kill his guy with a shotgun and then go around and clear off the rest of that link team, including that pesky Suryat, which would have netted me a supply box and also given me a great angle onto his core link in the middle. But it wasn't to be. At this point, my plans were starting to fail more and more. I was getting very concerned about how I was going to pull this game out of the bag. So I then brought my antipode pack towards his core link. It felt a bit like suicide. I did it because I wanted my remaining core link in the middle to threaten the supply box, but I knew that I couldn't really until I got rid of their core link bonus. The +1 burst and the +3 to hit was too good, so even removing one of his link team from that would help an awful lot. The antipodes ran forward, they were revealed from miles away, and they unfortunately were out of range from his core link by about half an inch. Luckily for me, I was able to make dodge rolls and they could dodge into melee. My aim was to kill the link leader to completely break the link open. Unfortunately, their bases couldn't fit in the gap without going past his Tartary first, so instead they settled on going for him, the antipode. He took several ARO shots with a pistol from one of his link further down, which kicked that link member out of the link team as his Tartary responded with a melee attack. So, at the end of the day, my 2 antipodes were taken out. His Tartary was a martial artist, but his link was now reduced to a 4-man link team, so it kind of did the same thing for me. My missile launcher then came round and shot at his lieutenant, who was there, still waiting around the corner, and with a fine shot, took his lieutenant out of action with an explosive rocket. I then swapped my missile launcher with my rifleman and put him on suppressor fire to guard that lane again, hoping that I would be able to get a supply box. Because I had the last turn of the game, my aim was to hopefully survive his turn 3 and then run for the box at the end of the game. Lastly, my Strelok, feeling a bit useless, laid his final mine, where you can see it there, to guard from anyone moving through that building to try and outflank my core link. It's now Morat turn 3. Appearing from the skies came his Raziat, a drop troop who can parachute into my deployment zone. Again, my inexperience showing that was an option. He came round and took many shots at my link team. My suppressive fire, Kazakh, managed to take several armor rolls. I refused to break his suppressive fire. I knew he would eventually die, but I was hoping to spend as many of my opponent's orders as I could in trying to remove him, which eventually happened. He moved his Ikitron round to try and outflank my remaining forces, and he copped a mine in the face. His core link then moved past my bleeding out antipode and went to grab the supply box on my left-hand side. I fired several shots at ARO, but he was able to move forward, get the box, and move back. And that meant he was able to claim the supply boxes on the left and the right, leaving the one in the centre currently unclaimed. Finally, it is time for Tartary Army Corps Turn 3. Now, at this point, I didn't have many forces left. I spent some command points to make one combat group. At this point, I was really playing for a draw. First of all, I had to try and remove his parachutist, which I eventually did with my lieutenant. Then I had to fire many rifle bursts at his link team who'd grabbed the box. Some connected and hit armour, some missed. When the dust had cleared, he was still standing. I had a last-ditch attempt with Veronin to come round. Because he has guard and a good martial arts skill, I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. So he did some martial arts on his core link team. He was able to pass his armour rolls. I knew it was last ditch. My aim here was to make my opponent win less rather than me score a draw. Because I spent so many orders on trying to take him out on this side, I didn't have enough orders on the other flank to try and take out his Suryat to get a draw. Unfortunately, the armour rolls were passed, which led to a Morat victory. And there we go, that's the battle. I hope you enjoyed it. I think my core link team didn't have enough firepower, especially after I lost my veteran Kazakh. I have to work on my positioning further and make sure that if I'm going second, I have a lot of more angles covered. I don't think Vasily and Veronin were worth it. Veronin giving an extra order, but his points cost is such that I may have just had an extra soldier or two. Vasily's a lot of points, and chain of command's quite nice, but he is expensive, and I feel like a scout or something else, or maybe even some points for Ratnik, could be more useful to me. I need to have a good solution for something like a total reaction bot. It caused me a lot of problems earlier on and meant I lost a lot of positioning. Something like a Spetsnaz with a machine gun or rifle that getting no cover could have helped an awful lot. Thank you for watching. If you like this, I have a Patreon, which I have had for several years now. I have got on that more than 50 bonus episodes, some linking to Guild Ball, linking to hobby work, and linking to Infinity for the newer ones. If you want to listen to the podcast or follow me on the Patreon or on Twitter, you will find all of the information on that in the notes to this video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.